Hi, and welcome back to Papa John's Pantry. Today we're going to be making lasagna, everyone's favorite and everyone's most anxiety-ridden dish. And I'm going to show you it's easy to make lasagna. I'm taking a pan, I'm going to fill it up with water to about an inch from the top. This one's a little bit taller than my Dutch oven, but a Dutch oven to do just well. If you're using a Dutch oven, I would do it about a ½ inch from the top. Alright, well, I'm going to put this in the sink so I'm not wasting your time. I'm going to spin you around here. So, on the counter, this is a good recipe that you can use the frozen vegetables for. Alright, 1 second. Okay. I'm going to get this pot of water boiling. Okay, so over here, we got a bowl. That's our universal Italian stuffing filling mix. We are going to take, you can do this on the stovetop if you want. This I like using my electric skillet for because, like I said, I'm right here. It's a good height. I love using this thing. We're going to spray this and our lasagna pan. Keep everything from sticking. We're going to buy everything in bulk. So we're going to, when we portion things out, I usually do them up into 2-pound bags. So this is 2 pounds of hamburger. I'm sure that looks amazing on the video. I got a pound of sausage. Finding ground sausage is hard by itself, so I always end up I just buy close to a pound of mild Italian sausage patties. This I'm going to turn on high. If you're using a regular skillet on the stove, I would do it over medium because this will start to spitter and spatter. And then once it does, I'm actually going to put my apron on, and you don't need to start a grease fire in your house. This one, they didn't even put patty paper in between. I got patty. Okay. All right. So, like I said, this is going to be a good use of your frozen vegetables. Let me just wash my hands real quick. Okay. So we are going to take adobo, one of our cupboard staples. We are just going to lightly coat it with that. That's a good spice blend. We're going to add in, now you don't have to use frozen vegetables, you can use fresh ones if you want. We're going to use a cup of pepper. I'm using the frozen pepper strips. This is a ½ cup, so I'm using 2. And the same thing, cup of diced onions. You can use fresh if you want. I'm using the frozen ones just to save some time because this is one of those recipes nobody will ever know the difference but you. All right, I'm going to spread this out a smidge bit. For this, I'm going to end up using a potato masher it's still a little frozen. I'm going to put the lid on this. This is going to take probably about 10 minutes to get the meat done. In the meantime, I have the oven on. It's heating up to 350 degrees, and I got the water boiling for the noodles. All right, I'm going to pick up the counter a little bit, and I will see you when this is almost done. Hello, I don't want you to think that you're missing out on secrets or something off camera. So as this slowly cooks, I'm just going to slowly start breaking it up. This hamburger, like I said, it was a little frozen still from me having it out in the freezer. So depending on if you have frozen meat or not, that'll change the cooking time. So we'll just keep waiting on this. My water has not boiled yet. So we wait. We'll check this again in about 4 minutes. And hello, you just want to keep mashing the meat into the smallest pieces as possible. I still got a little piece that's frozen here, so we're still cooking. My water, it's probably got about 5 minutes before it boils. So if you didn't have adobo, you could just use salt and pepper on your meat, but you want to put a little season on there, maybe a little, go over it with a little garlic powder too. All right, so just keep breaking the meat up as it cooks. See you in a minute. Hello. I think one of the reasons why everybody is so intimidated by lasagna is because they think they have to do everything all at once. And we're not. We already have our Italian filling mix. That's off to the side. We are just about done with our meat mixture. And I think we are good to go with this. Another minute. And we can we're going to boil the noodles last, so you don't need to do 100. This is lasagna is a little time consuming, but lasagna is great, and there's no rush, but you got to plan for it. Because if you do everything separately, it's going to take about 45 minutes to an hour, and then this is going to bake for an hour. So the good thing about lasagna, it's kind of a double-edged sword, is that whether you're cooking for one or you're cooking for 20, it's always the same size lasagna. But the good thing about lasagna is you can freeze it, or you can put it in your fridge, and it microwaves fantastic. You can have a little extra sauce on the side in the pan to put on top if it's starting to get dried out a couple days into it. But lasagna can get frozen, and it heats fantastic. So this is going to be all set. I have a colander in the sink. I am going to spin you around so you can watch me in the sink. We are going to turn this off. We're going to drain this meat mixture. Everybody likes to rinse stuff off in the sink. You don't want to rinse this. So, and then we're going to shake this out. We're going to run some hot water down the sink. I'm going to put this back in the pan because I'm going to need this colander for the lasagna noodles. I'm just running some hot water down this thing because I don't feel like clogging my pipes with grease. All right, I'm going to turn you off. So the meat's done and the cheese is done. Alrighty, so lasagna requires lasagna noodles. I am going to put some oil in a pan, in the boiling water pan. About a tablespoon's worth to help keep the noodles from sticking. One lasagna, we'll get one box of lasagna noodles. Careful as you place them in, and these you are going to want to put in crisscrossed one at a time. And unlike normal pasta that, as soon as you put it in, you want to stir it so it doesn't stick, these are going to just kind of let hang out for a little bit until it's time to move them, or else if I start to move them around right now, they're going to just all break in half. So we are slowly just going to keep putting noodles in, crisscross, crisscross. Trying my food. What's going on, Bella? Bella is my old lady dog. No, Bella, I know it probably smells delicious. Unfortunately, this is not a doggy recipe. So just keep putting them crisscross, crisscross, crisscross. Yes, they will stick out, but once they get soft enough, they'll start to slowly melt. They'll start to slowly melt. It's recyclable into the water. Getting myself a pair of tongs. I'm going to gently push these down into the water. They will give a little bit. Yes, you want to be gentle. You don't want to break them. That's cooking the noodles. This is probably the hardest part of lasagna because, and if the noodles break, the noodles break. You can use them anywhere. It's lasagna. Better Homes and lasagna is not going to show up at your house and yell at you if your noodles are broken. So that's that. All right, so this is starting to roll. Be a raging boil again. I'm going to turn this down because this stove has a quick boil setting on it, so it doesn't need to be full blown. It just needs to keep boiling. So just make sure you occasionally move them around a little bit because you don't want them to cook into one big glob. You do want the noodles to be separate. Normally I would turn off the camera and have you join me back when the pasta's done, but this is probably the biggest pain in the butt pasta there is to cook out of all the different kinds of pasta because they're the biggest and the hardest. Cooking lasagna is tough. So if you want to speed ahead in the video until the noodles are done, great. You want to hang with me, that's great as well. This part of the video is going to be a little boring, so if you want to see, you got to be careful because this is going to go. If you want to skip ahead to where you see me starting to build lasagna, by all means. You want to hang out here with me for some interrupt confidence? I'll be here. So these are about a third of the way done. Try to just keep your noodles separate. So these are very pliable. They're starting to be like regular noodles by now. And by regular noodles, I mean they're no longer hard and straight. They're all, they're all squiggly in there. Since this is a hard thing, some people are going to stay and watch me and some people are going to zoom. I'm going to make a lasagna 1 and a lasagna 2 just for the sake, because these long videos take a while to upload. So the part 2 will be actually building the lasagna. Alright, we're about 2/3 there. And you'll know when they're done. We'll taste a little corner of the noodle to make sure it's got the right feel to it. You know, these are going to be a little bit harder than regular noodles, so that you don't want them to be mushy, or else your lasagna is going to be a mush. You also don't want them to be too hard, because they won't really continue to cook in the pan with everything else. They will lighten, and you will see as they go, they're starting to lighten in color. And once they're pretty much back to being a uniform color again, they'll be done. So we got probably about 2-3 minutes, and these should be all set. I'm going to stop the video. This will be the end of part 1, and part 2 we'll start building lasagna. So when the noodles are done, we're going to take them, gently drain them into the colander, and then we're going to spray them with Pam so that they don't stick while they're still. We're going to gently toss them with the tongs, and that'll be the end of this video, and then part 2 will be building lasagna. Nose is still runny from the previous video I filmed before this, since I had kind of all the same stuff. Was the stuffed banana pepper recipe, and those still got the sniffles from those peppers clearing my sinuses out. It's funny. Okay, so I'm going to, again, if you're making this for somebody, you don't feel like eating somebody's food, take a piece off, grab your kitchen shears, cut a little piece off, and, well, I lost that one, but I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna just over the counter, putting you back. Just about. It's still just a smidge bit too crunchy. I'm going to give this 2 more minutes, and it's going to be done. So normally I would turn the video off and stuff, but like I said, this is probably one of the hardest things we'll make, and we're in this together. And just put this over the counter so I can snip it a little piece off again. I mean, there's directions on the box, but if everybody trusted recipes on the box, you wouldn't need me or any of the other cooking shows out there. So these are perfect. They're still a smidge bit crunchy, and that is great. Not crunchy. They're a little bit harder than you'd normally want to eat noodles, but they're not overcooked. You don't want these to get overcooked at all. So I'm going to put you over here. We just went on a ride. Okay, and I'm going to drain this into the sink slowly. Don't want you to think I'm being a hypocrite and doing things different than what I tell you. Don't burn yourself with the steam. There's a little more water with lasagna noodles than there is in most things, so as gently as possible, try to get them out of there. Now you're gonna wanna cool. Let's get these going under cold water. Put the pan underneath so that once this does fill up with cold water, They'll start to cool from the top and the bottom. And then we're going to spray them with pan oil. When I say pan oil, this is a cooking spray. Alright, pan is still good, so because even now, they're still steaming. These noodles are still cooking even though they're out of the water. And there we go. The cold water's starting to come up from the bottom. So we're going to let these, hey Bella, alright. Just going to gently mix these around. Alright, I'm going to turn the water off. I'm going to drain this pan again. Am I still on camera? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to just spray these now so they don't stick. And then just lightly toss them so they all get. I should probably spray one more time like the ones on the bottom. This might be overkill, but that way they definitely won't stick together. Alright, and that's going to be the end of part 1 lasagna. Part 2 will be building all this stuff. Alright, welcome back to Papa John's Pantry lasagna part 2. Alright, so we got our pan previously sprayed. We got our filling. We got our meat mixture. We got our noodles. You are going to need 2 cans of sauce or 2 of the smaller jars. I know ragu comes in those big ginormous cans. Just 2 regular sized cans of sauce or jarred sauce will do just fine. And again, this is one of those things like this is traditional. You know, you can use all sausage. You can use all hamburger. You can make lasagna every day for the rest of your life and make it taste different by using different combinations of sauces, putting peppers in, leaving the peppers out, leaving onions in, taking them out. You know, there's a million different ways you can switch up things. So fun one. All right. I think my dog's confused because I've been talking to myself now for about the last half hour, and I think she thinks I'm going crazy. So we're going to take some sauce, put it in the bottom of the pan, spread it around. You need a smidge bit more. You just want a thin coating on the pan. You don't want to waste all your sauce on the bottom. If you want, just take a spoon and help spread it. Doesn't need to be, you know, no one's going to see the bottom of your lasagna. Alright, that's perfect. Can you still see that on the... Alright, so now we're going to take our noodles and we are going to make a layer of noodles on the bottom of the pan. Now these noodles are a little slimy because, like I said, I covered them in cooking spray so they wouldn't stick. So I'm going to be constantly wiping them off on my washcloth. Alright, so this is going to have 2 layers. So everything we have here between the meat mixture and the... this is going to take a whole... I should have mentioned that earlier. So when we... in another recipe we use for the universal Italian filling, you're going to use the entire recipe of the filling. So it's going to be 2 layers. We're going to use half. So this has been sitting a while, so that's, you know, if the last thing you did was your meat mixture, you just probably burned the crap out of your hands. So It's going to need a little bit of common sense. All right, so that's that. Now we're going to take half of this meat mixture and try to spread it around as much as possible beforehand. I think I said meat mixture, cheese blend. You can use about half of it. Well, not about half, you can use half of this. Alright, I'm a little skimpy on the corners here. Okay, now you are going to gently spread this out as much as possible. And it doesn't, try not to go right to the edges with it because it's going to stick to the pan and burn. So try to keep it away from the edges about a centimeter or so. And it does, you want to put the cheese on first, then the meat? Great. You want to do it this way? Fantastic. It doesn't really matter. Alright, now like we did on the bottom of the pan, so this is pretty much spread out. Okay, we're going to take some sauce, another layer of sauce. Try to spread it out again. Doesn't need to be perfect. It's like you're frosting a cake with, this looks like ketchup. That'd be a terrible cake. It's a good way to ruin somebody's birthday. Alright, another layer of noodles. I want to crisscross these noodles. I'm going to put them on a different way for as much as possible. The one end here, obviously, just so it helps keep it. And then the last layer, I'll do it the other way, just so when it doesn't so easily fall apart when you yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's enough in here for another. Okay. All right. So then the rest of the meat mixture we're going to put in here. Get so used to everything being hot. I'm using a spatula like this is still hot. All right, we're gonna begin with the filling. And if there's bare spots, it don't matter because it's gonna kind of all meld around and do its own thing while it's in the pan, in the oven. Now some recipes, they'll have you put it in at 375 for half an hour. I like to cook things slower and longer just because if you get forgetful, you can't burn it that way. So we're going to do this at 350 for about 45 minutes. So I mean, literally, you can eat this now if you want to. The noodles are cooked. The cheese isn't melted, but I mean, it's not going to kill you if you eat cheese the way it is. I mean, everything's cooked, so you're heating this up. You don't need to worry about killing anybody with this. So this will get the rest of this can, and then the next about 2/3 for this, and then the rest is going to go on top. Again, spread it out. Try not to go too close to the sides of the pans because no matter what you do, it's just going to burn anyway on the sides. Some people like the crispy part. But that's it. You're going to take the rest of your noodles. And this pan's a little larger, so I know I said I was going to crisscross them on the end, but I just want to make sure I have enough noodles to finish this. Yes, good. Because that would have been embarrassing if I didn't have enough noodles. In fact, good. I can overlap these a little bit. It's actually my first time using this pan. Our other lasagna pan looked like it was looking rough. Alright, so now, let me wipe my fingers off. We're going to take the rest of that sauce, put it on top, and try to spread it around even so you're doing yourself a favor. You want to try to cover these up so they don't dry out, because this outer layer will be the first thing that gets real crispy, so make sure this is covered. Alright, this is lasagna. So I will turn the camera off again, 350. So I'm not lying to you, my oven is set at 350. This is going in 350 for 45 minutes. I will see you in 45 minutes. Hi again, real quick. Lasagna, so it's in the oven. I set my timer. Before we cut into it, you're gonna wanna let it sit for 10 minutes. Otherwise, and it's called, in cooking land, that's called setting. Like you'll do that with, if you cook a roast, and that when you, like the lasagna, when we pull it out, we're just gonna let it sit on the counter for 10 minutes on some heating pans, and that way the cheese and everything has a chance to glue back together again. Because you can eat it right out of the pan, but what's going to happen is it's just going to be mush. Like it's just going to mush apart, and it's not going to be a nice looking piece of lasagna. So we're going to let it wait 10 minutes after it comes out of the oven. We'll cut a piece and we'll show you what it looks like. Hello, welcome back. Our 55 minutes is up. The 45 in the oven and the 10 standing on the counter. Sitting on the counter, standing on the counter, whatever you want to call it. This is perfect. I am going to move you a little bit. The pasta just curled up a little bit, but as you can see, the noodles still move, so we did not dry this out, which is why I like to cook this. You see everything's still, it's not hard and crispy. That's why I like to cook this a little bit longer at a lower temperature. So let's cut a piece and see how this looks. Let me just, oh, that's fine. Okay. Never know if I have the camera in a good spot or not. Like I said, you can't hack into this right out of the oven, but it'll fall apart on you. Now, I generally like, if you want to heat up a little sauce on the side, fantastic. I generally like to eat this just the way it is, because there's already sauce and stuff in it. And we got lasagna. Well, let's see if we can. Boom. We got ourselves lasagna. I hope you enjoy it and it was worth your time. Thank you much for watching.